Sublime magnificence.
Hey guys, you know who it is, what's going on, when it's happening, where it's at, and why we're here today. How you doing? It is I, the sublimely magnificent Big Ugly himself, Omari Ellis Feyo Grande on YouTube, back with another episode of This Guy Hasn't Seen. And as usual, I am joined by my co-host and running mate, one of my best friends in the world, El Director himself, Bill Smith.
Hey Omari, thank you for having me. Hello all you Omaricans. It is such a wonderful time to be here. I love doing this show, and I am so excited to talk about the movie that you have brought to us today, Omari.
Yes, this week I am bringing the movie, and I brought it from a well I usually go to every once in a while on this show. And it's a bit of early 2000s. It's You Got Served.
You Got Served is from 2004, PG-13, in order to achieve their dream of opening a recording studio. Don't remember that part of the plot at all. They're musical artists? Sorry. In order to achieve their dream of opening a recording studio, two friends, Omarion and Houston, must first win their city's dance contest, a fierce competition that pits them against a group of tough street dancers. It is directed and written by Chris Stokes, and it of course stars Omarion and Marquez Houston and Megan Good and Jennifer Freeman and a bunch of talented young guys from the early 2000s.
Indeed. Steve Harvey as well.
Omari, why
You Got Served?
this movie?
All right, so this is a movie I hadn't really watched from start to finish since around when it was a new movie. Every once in a while I've seen clips or someone review it online and be like, yeah, there's some things that can be talked about in this movie that could be funny. And when I heard that you hadn't seen it, I was like, okay, I'll put that in a back pocket for like one day. There was a couple times in the past few months where I was like, well, I could pick that one, but then I'm like, this man just gave me the Prestige or just something like this, and I'm gonna follow it up. You Got Served. So it was like, it's not like I was expecting it to be super shit, but I wasn't expecting it to be the response to a Prestige or something along those lines.
Right.
But after School of Rock, which great movie as we talked about last week, from the early 2000s that some people have nostalgia for, even if it's not, your pinky out style, though arguments could be made. That I was like, this is a good time. This is as good a time as any. Let's stay in the early 2000s.
It's kind of a general popcorn movie.
Exactly.
As they say.
And a movie that for at least a few months, if not a couple years, had an effect on pop culture. Because regardless of the quality of said movie, the cultural impact of just the phrase "you got served" and served and all that was highly prevalent at the time.
Oh yeah.
So for a film that kind of had that impact on society and you hadn't seen it.
Speaking of word usage, this film has to have the highest count of the word crew for any movie. Like, there are a couple of scenes where it's just like crew. Well, this crew, you got to get your crew together. Man, this is about the crew. Don't let the crew fall.
And this was an early movie in the era of the young black people on a rhythm team films. And the reason I call it that is because of the robot chicken sketch from like the mid 2000s, literally called Young Black People on a Rhythm Team, just like as a parody movie trailer, because that's what you had. The Step It Up series, Step It Up to the Streets, Stomp the Yard, had a couple things. You had a couple other movies, and then they expanded from just, dance to step culture to other black college cultures. Like, that's Drumline is I mean, that's literally a rhythm team, even though it's not dancing. Drums is
Yeah,
rhythm, but that's
right.
literally just another thing. Like, hey, let's take the stars of the era and stuff like that. That the black heartthrobs, your B2Ks and Nick Cannon or whatever. They had a song where it was like B2K and Nick Cannon.
Yeah,
But yeah, them and this movie B2K drumline Nick Cannon, good example of the people at the time that were making those kind of movies. But I was just like, you know what? It might be fun to take a look back at that time and age, and just even if it's just to laugh at things.
absolutely.
But yeah, how had you not seen it? Because I know you said you saw Stomp the Yard or one of the other movies.
Yeah, we had talked about a few in this genre that you referred to. Um and I had seen a couple. I can't tell you why
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't seen this one. I know of it. It was just never. I probably, it's just not hitting in any of the spots for me. I don't know. If I knew that Megan Good was in it, maybe I would have checked it out. But yeah, I probably would have checked it out years ago, when I was on that Megan Good. Um, but otherwise, it wasn't really hitting any of my radar points. As
Gotcha.
far as what I was expecting, it
Yeah.
was I mentioned it. Any frequent viewer might know. I usually my wife is the hidden third character of this show, kind of. I promise she's real. Omari's better.
I have.
um, but eventually the movie of the week gets ran through her, and I start the process of, will I be finding my own time to watch this on my own, or will this be a house activity for some evening coming up? And I mentioned this, and she's like, "Oh yeah, that's the one with Omarion, right?" And I was like, "Yeah," and she's like, "Oh, okay." I was a really big B2K fan when I was a kid. So I was like, okay, all right. So this is gonna be like nostalgia trip for my wife, and that's fun.
Cool.
Uh but beyond that, I just knew like dancing
Yeah.
kind of thing. And probably the strongest thing dancing I ever got myself into. And as I started to lead into this right now, my mind jumped on the title, but MTV reality show that the Jabberwockies won.
America's Best Dance Crew.
Correct. That's probably the thing that I got the most into dancing wise.
Same.
And so my brain like thinks of that cultural point in the ramp up of the, what were you expecting with this film? I was like, America's, that I don't even think I had the title then a few days ago. I was just like, the Jabberwockies, like the Jabberwockies. That's what this movie's about.
Yeah, Jabberwockies. I that's about as deep into the well that I went into back in the day. Was season 1 of America's Best Dance Crew with the Jabberwockies.
Right.
Season 2, I started doing more of my video game corner shit in college, so I really wasn't paying as much attention. But yeah, I had a mask that I used to wear when I used to go to my friends to rock band karaoke. That was a white mask, like the Jabberwockies masks, and I would have that on stage.
That kind of leads me right into my initial reaction of the opening dance battle. I come to the realization in my life that I can get through the threshold that I would believe would be an objective understanding of good or bad dancing.
Okay.
I can get past that line that I think almost anybody in the world can be like good dancing or bad dancing. But then once you cross that threshold, I have no concept of where you live in that scale. Good dancing is just good. Like, I just like it. There is no separator to me. It's just like, oh, you did more flippies there, or like that one was extra pop and locky. Like I don't know.
Disclosure.
You're obviously a very good dancer. Great job.
Full disclosure. I'm either right next to you or maybe one step further into this category. Because there was definitely a part of the movie where I was just like, that's a lot of flips that they're doing. I was just like, but they were doing some other good stuff, and we'll get into. But it was just like, that's a lot of flips, yeah.
I feel like this video is an advertisement for the fan I just bought for this room. It's like positioned perfectly.
That is kind of funny. Hey, my room ended up being advertising for a lot of stuff inadvertently. Uh, but yeah, so anyhow, so yeah, initial reactions. You were talking about the opening dancing.
Yeah, that thought process kind of consumed, and then also these dance sequences last so long. Usually at some point there's a verbal comment from me of like, we're still dancing.
Like to also support your previous point of like how the first made you feel about your evaluation of dancing. I think I put this opening dance sequence is very 2000s. Yep, that sure is good dancing from that time. But yeah,
I feel like the all right. So starting to jump a little deeper in. I feel like because he's not in this opening, but I just want to ask it because it's on my brain. There's obviously the spiked hair dude who is fucking ridiculous. We'll get into that. But his cohort, did he start to be a thing after this movie? I feel like I've seen him in other stuff that isn't necessarily just a straight up dancing movie.
He very well may have.
Where his character danced. Or like was he like
he could have.
Was he on Wild and Out?
Maybe. But spike haired dude, like you said, he stood out more. I was always more distracted just by him when they were both on the camera this time around. So I don't really have a visualization for the side dude because fucking
that hair is
who is
ridiculous.
Who is the celebrity from that time that did that? There was some. It's not Sugar Ray or some shit. But you know what I'm talking about. He looked like a musician from that time. I'm like, yeah, that dude is definitely a relic of that era.
I feel like 2004 is even way too late for that hairstyle.
Maybe. I agree.
Oh, yeah, boy.
Yeah, 2004 is like the end of what could be considered early 2000s. And right at the beginning of mid, so yeah, he was on the way out. But yeah, there was that one guy with their group. Speaking of people that just kind of was like, okay, it was a dude. They were talking about like trying to win the first kind, and this dude comes out, "Show me the money, what?" Yeah, I'm ready to get busy. I'm like, this guy. And they lay everybody out there really well. But what I'll give you is at the end of the movie when they're like doing their little handshakes and stuff and kind of reuniting with the group, I noticed this time Marcus Houston does go to do like, oh hey man, what? I was like, they actually called back to his weird show me the money, what? I'm like, damn, now this is like it has that extra little bit of thought to it where I'm like, I can't be too hard on it. They drew attention to it.
I mean, they are like, say what you want. That scene, after the dancing is through, in a very short amount of time, they introduce you to all the characters. You got Marquez Houston, who is like, hey, I'm about business and I'm about working hard to get that money and succeed our goals. We need to practice and we need to make more money. And then
apparently get a recording studio.
Right. And Omarion is just always like playing to the crowd. Like he's always saying his lines and like looking off away and just being like, hey, what's up? Yeah. And then you got the kid. You got the kid with the kid. You got the kid who's big brother
Rico.
We got Rico who's big brother for Saint. And then you got the other dude in the do-rag who you're like immediately like, all right, yeah, you're
Sonny.
the villain of this movie.
Sonny, I think it's
okay. You're gonna be the villain.
The betrayal,
right? Before you know about the two rich white boys that he's going to betray with, and then the second, like he's gone. He's in the background and they're always like, yeah, fuck you, Sonny, you betrayed us. And you're like, where is he?
he betrays him to the other side and that's all he needed to do.
And gets consumed.
He's part of that crew now, but he ain't the face of the crew. He's just the reason they beat him the first time. Dude, with that peer pressure though, and how quickly Marcus Houston folded, because he's like, this is $5,000. This is serious business. We got to practice for a week so we can get that $5,000. I don't care if we the best. And they literally walk up to him and in like 30 seconds, like, we don't practice. Fight tonight. You know what? Yeah, I'll do it tonight. I ain't scared. and he goes over to Omarion, and Omarion's like, "What's up, man? They were punking us. I had to. I'm sorry, but we doing it tonight. Call everybody." Where are we getting $5,000 from? they Grandma, they talked me into it. They said I was scared.
Oh my God. When he asked his grandmother for 50 and she's just like, okay. He's honest with her, but like, oh my God, how much money does grandma have in a duffel bag in the back of the house?
She first was like, how you end up needing that much money? They called me a punk. Prideful like your granddaddy. Okay, wait, what? I wish I would ask my grandma, be like, Grandma, can I have $1,500 to do a dance battle?
You and your goofiness, here you go.
If I were to ask, it would have been something acting related. And I might have gotten it, but to be fair to my grandma. But still, it was just one of those weird things like, okay. But yeah, you mentioned Megan Good, beautiful, 2 L's. I was like, oh yeah, she was in this movie.
You gotta really hit that. You gotta really hit those 2 L's.
Beautiful. But yeah.
And Marquez Houston's sister, played by Jennifer Freeman, who I immediately was like, my wife and kids.
I just have her as my wife and kids girl. I forgot her name.
Yeah,
Jennifer Freeman. Yeah,
yep.
her. At first, the little interaction with the romance between her and Omarion seemed like it was a little awkward, but they moved past that real quick to just being like, clearly we're gonna end up together.
Oh God, like Jesus! They both times that we actually see them kiss, they go in open mouth. Like it's so. It's not something you normally film because it's a little off-putting. Like you can go to open mouth, but you gotta like start closed and then grow to open.
Yeah,
like,
but just
both times they made out in the film. Omarion was like, "I will consume you. Oh, I will drink your soul.
I want your soul."
But no.
Yeah,
that pair
very awkward at the end where he's like, ain't you gonna get with your girl? And then they do that, and like you said,
and he's just sitting there staring. He's like
off-putting. I'm like, I couldn't.
That all you gonna do with your girl?
And then they do that. I'm like,
no,
I couldn't look at that. I'd have to look away. Even if somehow I told somebody, yeah, go ahead like that, I'm looking away. I'm not looking at Jesus. But
yeah, like I'd be like, hey guys, I'm cool, but do us like let's be chill about it around me for a minute, because it's still
can we not go that hard?
Yeah.
Like you said, can you start slow and work up to it? Like,
I'm already someone who's kind of like PDA in public is awkward, but like just like
same. I have not done a lot of public PDA myself. But you get to the point where you get the betrayal by the Sonny guy, and where he tells the white dudes whose names I forget, and That's kind of just how they treat them
They
throughout the movie.
they're the white dudes.
He tells
They don't
them-
need names.
I don't know. I don't remember their names, but
It's Wade's crew.
Wade,
Yeah. And the other guy's name is apparently Max. That doesn't sound familiar at all. But yeah, it's Wade's crew. Two weird things. Yeah, let's jump back into that bio, that byline for a second. The recording studio thing, and then this also may be the first movie description where they just insert the main actors' names in parentheses into the movie description
instead of saying the characters' names. Maybe because one of them was what, Elgin Baron Eugene Smith III. I was like, wait, that's his full name? Fair enough.
So by the time two white dudes early challenge and Marquez Houston accepts it, we've already seen that him and Omarion are doing some shady shit to fund the crew. We're not directly told what it is. We're never really directly told what it is, but they're moving duffel bags from a location to another location,
usually involving money,
late at night for money.
Mm-hmm.
We also have seen Omarion's character be visibly and verbally uncomfortable with having to do it, and agreeing to do it on a time by time basis.
No, Marcus Houston was time by time because he kept going. You said it was last time to last time. But Omarion would be like, "This is the last time you said that last time."
Oh, it was. I thought Omarion was the one who was uncomfortable with it.
Mm-mm.
Okay, it was Marquez
Houston.
Houston.
They might have both been uncomfortable.
Okay,
but Marcus Houston would be the one that Omarion turned to and be like, "This is the last time, though." Or like, "This is the last time, I swear." And then the second time they go, "This is the last time you said that the last time."
Right.
Because Marcus or Omarion was a bit more, like you said, the extroverted one anyway, and the more high energy, just live life, just go, while Marcus Houston is older, because I think he's older than him in real life too, and seems to act like more mature of the two for the most part.
Right.
But then we get the scene, white guys beat him because Sonny joined them, and they accuse he should have been suspicious the second they said, "Let's move it up to today." Not necessarily that one of us is going to betray you or tell us all your moves, but it's like, damn, we said in a week. If anything, y'all need to practice to fight us because we win all the time. What's wrong with you? We're undefeated. You don't cave to the... Okay, anyway. So they go, they lose, and then we get the line that y'all just mad because today you suckers got served. And I was like, I had never heard that line before, and unless someone was quoting the movie in some ironic way, I've not heard it since. But damn if people didn't quote that movie a lot back at the time. I was like,
oh my God. We're like 15 minutes into this movie and we haven't mentioned maybe one of the best parts of it.
Steve Harvey.
Steve Harvey is the MC of this dance crew, of this underground. First of all, it's an underground dance battle arena that clearly only exists for this purpose.
Mr. Rad. Mr. Rad's place. You dance, you get the money put in the hat, and based on crowd response. Don't fight, or Mr. Chuck is gonna fucking shoot you.
That's how we do it on the streets.
That's how we do it on the streets.
We're going street in this movie, folks. We're gonna go street.
The underground dance studio or dance battle scene. I love it. But
I was just directly quoting Lil' Kim at the end of this film.
We're going to the streets. We're gonna do it street style.
Street style.
I love the streets, baby. All right, fair enough. But And then shortly after, they're like, "Damn, we lost the money. We need to get the money back or whatever. How we gonna pay Grandma her money back and other people?" And so Marcus Houston gets called by the dude, Emerald, the gangster man, going, "I got a job for you. Where's your partner at? It's pays like a shit ton of money apparently, and they really need it now." And so he's like, "I'll be there, sure." At first he said, "I don't want to." He's like, "You want me to get the job to somebody? Or where's your partner?" "I don't know. I don't need." Like, "You want to get the job to somebody else?" "No, I'll come." And he tries to call Omarion, but Omarion doesn't answer. Why? Because he's trying to date his best friend's sister. All right, so in this whole not going, Marcus Houston gets jumped and loses all the money. Now he owes Emerald a shit ton of money on top of the fact that he still owes his grandma her money.
And his legs broken.
And his legs broken, which very important to a dancer who hoops in his off time.
Yeah, I'd say so.
And, Omarion shows up and he's like, "What the fuck? You hurt my sister?" "Yeah, man, but that's cool." And they get mad at him like he's the bad guy because he's like, "Dude, you let me get jumped and everything because you were too busy trying to get with my sister of all people." When I had already told both of y'all, like, I'd have tried to tell her that he uses girls all the time. I'd have seen him using girls all the time. And then when the friends are like, "Dude, were you really trying to give a sister?" "No, man, no, I wouldn't do it. That's not me. I wouldn't do it." That's literally what you were doing. And you immediately go, "Well, you ain't talking to me. I'm gonna date your sister anyway." Like,
I'm kind of annoyed with this movie, but from this point forward, because Omarion is never the villain in this scenario. In my opinion, he's never the villain.
He shouldn't be the villain, you're saying?
Yeah, and he starts getting painted. At the very least, from here on, it's a both sidesism. It's a all right. You both need to like. Omarion is cool with Marquez from this entire time. First of all, they were planning to meet up, but they weren't planning to meet up until 10, and the meeting got bumped up. I seriously doubt they were sitting at that booth on that date, and it was even past 10 o'clock. But we're never directly told. We are told that it was supposed to happen at 10. They were supposed to meet up at 10, and Emerald called and bumped the meeting up way early. It is not Omarion's fault. Like, I hate fucking people who think now that cell phones exist, I can just get a hold of you all the fucking time. That plot point pisses me off because that's one of my personal standpoints. And then finally, Marquez Houston's character has no fucking business telling either of these people who they should be dating. I don't care if it's your sister. You have no business telling her that she can't. You can give her advice. You can tell her. You can tell her that Omarion is a player in his opinion, but you cannot command her that she is not allowed to see him. That is not a thing.
He should not tell his sister that. He should tell the friend that. Well,
he can't do that either. How can he do that?
I don't know. I've always grown up with the idea that friends, siblings, and stuff are off limits, especially with this movie where, well, I felt like Omarion, or not Omarion, but Marquez Houston got treated like the bad guy in the scenario because everybody was saying it was him.
I mean, because he kept being a dick, but it was a lot of particularly towards the end of the battling, when by this point Omarion has tried to extend a hand several times, and he's eventually he's now at the stage of fuck it, man, I'm gonna stop trying, and now and he's still getting. I don't like how people talk to Omarion in the second half of this movie, and I hate Marquez Houston's.
I don't think, and don't get me wrong, I don't think that rivalry should have gone as long as it did because it is kind of fucked up that happened, or that
I mean, it's just
not fucked up that it happened, but that Marquez Houston held on to it as long as he did. He should have gotten over it after, a lot sooner. But I can't sit here to be like, hey, I got, beaten up and hospitalized because you were too busy trying to screw my sister. Like, that, of all things, like, it's one thing if he was just out something else, and that's one thing, but the other thing is like,
if the sibling thing is really that kind of a sticking point for you, like, that is
him being mad to begin with.
That is just one of those old adage things that I've never fucking understood. It doesn't make any sense. Like, I understand being being respectful about your bro's exes, but like, what is what what does that even mean? If we're best friends, then that means we're gonna officially be brothers. We're gonna literally legally be brothers. What are you talking about?
Well, like I said, if it happens, it happens. But I don't know. The initial thing is just kind of weird for me. Like, you get used to it. It's easy to get used to fast. It would be easier than a stranger. But it also depends on how much depends on how much your friends talk about and what they talk about doing to girls before they start getting with your sister. And if they're someone who usually, especially in your head, who, according to all the friends, at least early on, rightfully has the reputation of just dogging out girls that he gets with. I'm like, I understand this is a negative aspect of my friend. Try not to bring it around my sister. But, and again, it's another thing. I also feel like situationally, when it comes to this movie, it would be different if they just started dating and Marquez Houston didn't get his ass beat and hospitalized because of it.
I mean,
like,
I'm just not a fan of it being a plot point of this film for like a good 30 to 45 minutes.
It should not have been 30 to 45 minutes, but I can understand getting mad about that.
It's not a fun thing. It's not a cool thing. It's not something that Marquez Houston should be thrilled about, that he got jumped by himself when they normally do this together. But it's a scenario where Omarion shows up to that hospital, is apologetic for not being able to be there with him, and which he was, and then you buy him a meat, like he gets a meal bought for him, and you move on from it. Like, it's not something that like I said, ends the friendship.
And that's what I'm saying. He definitely took it too far, and he kept going, like, all that stuff. Because, like, what's his name says, we've been friends too long to let something like this come between us. And I agree. But in and of the scene itself, in the moment in the hospital, if I'm in the bed as Marcus Houston, and that happens, and this is like, that's why I'm in the bed, because you was trying to do that, I'm gonna be mad in that moment. But I'm a forgiver for the most part. I forgive a lot of things. I
just don't understand.
I would move on.
I just don't understand that mindset.
Moment.
We as friends are supposed to exist sitting there staring at our phones, waiting for Marquez Houston to call, because he might need us before he gets jumped.
Okay, do something else. Okay, that's why I said if it was another reason, then sure. But it's not so much that he was waiting for phone. He literally ignored the calls. He saw the calls happening and ignored them. Like,
no, he did not.
So much.
No, he did not. His phone was turned off by the girlfriend. He was getting bombarded with phone calls from the general crew and people that he owed money, and his phone was ringing off the hook. And so the girlfriend,
it was like the first time he called, the sister hung it up and ignored it. I would at least been like, well, who was that? And and if it was a crew member, put it away. But he didn't even say,
I guess from Marquez Houston's perspective, that first phone call got ignored. But Omarion was not ignoring the calls or turning them off or he had no idea that he called.
And again, that's something that, with explanation and a capacity for forgiveness, gets him down. And that's what I'm saying. He lacked was said capacity for forgiveness.
I'm fine with the moment to
wrong.
happen.
Yeah, the moment. That's all I'm talking about. Is in the moment, I could see that. But yeah, that's literally something that you think about. Like, well, and especially if you hear them out. But I'm also a guy that tries to hear out other sides of other stories. Now, without going into too much detail, I have seen friendships that were longer than even those two in real life get ended over something that one person just considered far more unforgivable than the other guy who legit wanted to get the forgiveness. And I side with the Omarion in that scenario. So it's not that I don't get your point about siding with Omarion, because by the end of the movie I was siding with Omarion, because I'm like, dude, you're going a bit too far with this. If not entirely, but
I mean,
moment,
I was immediately with Omarion.
In the moment, I'd also be more mad that I'm sitting here with a broken leg in general. I don't know if I'm a fucking how this leg's gonna heal when it comes to dancing and stuff, and then that's what walks in. But like I said, I call the next day and we move on. Because friends fight. You and I have fought.
Yeah.
And then, like, call each other either the next day or 2 days later, like, my bad too. Want to hang out? Yeah, okay. And we move on.
Yeah.
So, and
that's what I'm saying. Like, Omarion shows up at that hospital fully apologetic.
That's what I'm saying.
And like,
that's what it should have been in that moment.
It's one of those where you literally just gotta, I guess, I mean, I'm saying this with time and wisdom. I can't say that I would react this way. I feel like in my adulthood I've become a very well-rounded emotional person, where I have all of those things in a very strong check, and it makes because of that, it almost makes zero sense to me how this can last so long. But it just makes, and it also, you know what it does? It turns the movie not fun for like a good 45 minutes. It just straight up turns the movie not fun. We're having fun, and then it's like it's just switching up the vibe of the film. So it just threw me off.
Yeah, I'll give you that. That was a lot more philosophical.
I mean, this movie needs us to go a little, funny. But it's interesting. Like, why? But it's an interesting thought of like what, not to go whatever we want on this. But like, why is the man? No, that's my sister. It's off limits. A thing.
I don't know. I've considered a lot of things off limits throughout my life. I'm a weirdo though, and have been told that numerous times.
I feel like it just seems, because it is a thing. It is a thing. It's not just you, like, and it's not just this film. It is a thing, and it's just like, but why? Like I said, like, all right, yeah, I guess, you don't break my sister's heart, and then, but like, adult, like. Things are gonna happen, and if they happen, they happen. But again, maybe that's just me saying this with age.
It's something I can get over. It's something that I can get over, but in the moment, I'm defending the moment as opposed to the rest of the film.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just defending the moment. I'm not trying to defend the whole film. And also, like you mentioned, they're a lot younger than we currently are in this movie, so that can also play into the emotions.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's true.
Omarion was apologetic throughout the rest, and then again, eventually, rightfully, was like, "Look, I've been trying, but he ain't trying to listen, so I'm not going to keep talking to him. Like, I gotta do what's best for me."
Omari, what if I told you this film has one of our favorite reoccurring tropes?
Oh.
A training montage.
when they're getting ready for the big event at the end.
It's
And
ridiculous.
the rage
Ugh.
dancing in the
And
rain.
it's like rock. It's like early 2000s metally, not
Let's let
metal
somebody.
funk.
Anxiety. If you
Right, literally screaming the words
do.
anxiety as they're dancing out their emotions.
In the
Omari,
rain.
like, and yeah, they both just dance in the rain.
The rage dancing in
He's
the
he's
rain.
in. He's like right. He was like, ooh, it's raining. Let me open the door, and like he's doing it right outside the door of the room that we just saw him dancing in.
Yeah, shirtless dancing in the rain.
He is chosen to go out there and do that.
Pounding the ground. This is like, what the fuck is going on? Okay.
I also liked during this time period in the film, Rico and Lil Saint showing up at Omarion's practice and basically just being like, "Y'all suck." Like Lil Saint had something like, I'm better than most of these dudes."
Because Omarion took all the good ones with them or whatever. And then they got Raz B to join as well, who I think Raz B, I feel like he probably was a B2K as well with a name like that. Just being honest.
Oh yeah, the dude who joined Marquez Houston's. I think I did because I googled B2K and he looked like the guy who's always standing next to Omarion.
Yeah.
In the B2K pictures. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's him.
Yeah, he was. I'm like, yep, there's the other B2K guy. Because at first when I saw him, I was like, Chris Brown? No, that's not Chris Brown. And then I was like, oh, it's Raz B. I'm like, I don't think he's BMX. No, or
Raz
IMX.
B.
It's
Raz B, Omarion, Lil Fizz, and J Boog.
There were 4 B2Ks.
There were 4 B2Ks.
Fair enough. I thought it was 3 like IMX. But
It
I
was
guess I was wrong.
Google lists Omarion, lead vocalist.
Yeah.
Raz B, backing vocalist.
Sure.
Lil Fizz, main rapper. And then J Boog, vocals.
Fair enough. But yeah. But then we get to the finale. We get well, before the finale, the final competition for $50,000 starts. We get day 1 and Steve Harvey taking care of the Emerald subplot off screen. Yes. Hey, where they at? They gonna do it? Well, they owe him money.
Don't worry about it. I fixed it, but don't tell him about it.
Yeah, let him be scared. It'll be good for him. What? There's nothing that happens in Mr. Rad's hood that Mr. Rad don't know about. Okay. Well, all right. I guess it's solved. And then we get the play, and then, of course, we need that one thing to bring them back together. And that's the death of Lil Saint. In the moment, it doesn't bring it together, but it brings it together.
This movie fucking sucks. And it wouldn't fucking suck if they didn't do these 2 things that I keep bitching about, or that I'm now going to keep bitching about. But yeah, this movie didn't earn that. It didn't earn it. It's cheap. It's bullshit. It didn't earn it. It happens off screen. It's just some dude being like, "Hey, by the way, Lil Saint,
a bullet perforated his heart."
It's.
We get a line early in the movie where he's like, "Only hang with me. Stop hanging with those other guys." And then when they called to say he got shot, he was hanging with those guys Rico told him not to hang with, and he got shot. But I'm kind of with you where I'm like, I'm not nearly. I understand you guys, you characters are affected by this, but I'm not quite as cathartic.
It's just a plot tool. Like there's no. It's rude. It's rude, and it's just a plot device to fuck with you as an audience member, and for these 2 characters who you've already put in a ridiculous situation to be able to come back together for the final climax of the film.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only thing was the only thing that I guess I don't know. I was happy they at least didn't do the direct obvious and they didn't just immediately rejoin.
Yeah.
Like they still, it took another delayed moment for them to be able to bring.
I will agree with that. It wasn't just like, okay, man, we need to put this behind us and compete together tomorrow. No, it was. The other team changed their name to the Little Saints. Marquez Houston's team changed their name to the Little Saints.
Mm-hmm.
And even speaking of people saying Omarion's team sucks, fucking Steve Harvey too, when they were before, he's like, ooh, that's just not or that's sad or something like that. But,
well, like they fell a couple of times and shit. Yeah, it wasn't.
Yeah. And then they go from that to after there's a tie between Wade's crew and the Lil Saints, and Lil Kim's like, we got a tie, sorry. They like that's when Steve Harvey's like, no, we're gonna do this like we do it on the streets. Mm-hmm. They gotta settle it. This is Tyson Holyfield to them. You can't stop that to these boys. You can't make them end in a tie. Well, what do you suppose we do? We do it street style. So we gonna do this street style. What are the rules? Baby, I said this is the street style. There are no rules. She just there's something weird about her delivery for the lines.
Yeah, it's because it's Lil Kim and she's not an actress, and she's being fed lines she has to say. So it's like, it's tough. But
yeah, but I was just like, it ended up being, like you said, very Lil Kim just with the way she was saying things. And yeah, we get the final dance number. They're doing a lot of flips and shit. It's cool. Omarion does some weird dive that they catch him on, and he has some stone-faced look on his face that I'm still not exactly sure what that move was supposed to be, aside from, I guess, a dive. But
again, this entire final championship thing, I'm just like, that's okay. You're a good dancer. Yeah. Okay, they're good dancers. Okay, that's good dancing.
That slow-mo thing was cool. Where the guy tried to spin in slow-mo.
The slow-mo thing was real cool. The slow-mo thing was real cool. And just all the people in the background really selling it. I'm just like, that's great.
But no, there was like what I was talking about. Like he dives, he's just like, I'm like, it wasn't even like he dived with the middle fingers, because they did the little arm lock middle finger thing, and that that's one thing. But just the what were the point you guys were trying to make there? I don't get it. But either way, they win. White guy gets mad, and they go, well, you're just mad because today you suckers got served. And then they start the chant that I thought was stupid when I was younger, and I still think is stupid. Served, 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 served. And I'm like, nobody, this is in 2004, 2005, I'm like, nobody says this. Served, 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 served. And we get they all reconcile. They get the money, split it up, happy ending. Marcus Houston is now cool with Omarion and sister.
Because the movie's ending.
Yeah, making out in front of them. You just go.
The movie's ending, so they gotta just like make eye contact, shake hands, give the dap on the back, and then that's it. Oh right, no, they had a signature. I was thinking they came in and did one of these, but they have that signature thing.
But they didn't do the that they did earlier in the movie. So I was like, because I noticed that today, because they're like and I was like, the fuck. So when they got to the end and they were doing it, they just stopped it and they show both of them like close up on the face. I'm like, where's the But I love that by the way, Omarion's crew, who just kept falling on their faces, adds Marcus Houston to them, and suddenly they just blend in perfectly and can win the thing. Or maybe that's why he fell on his face, because he was trying to go for his missile dive and no one was there to catch him. I don't know. But yeah, anything else you want to talk about with the movie itself, or something that stood out to you? All right. So,
No,
yeah,
I think we covered it all.
That's You Got Cert. Final thoughts?
So I just the first half of this movie is Omarion's movie, and I enjoy that movie. The fight happens, and because of the fight and because of how all the characters end up reacting to the fight, the back half of the movie becomes Marquez Houston's movie. And I don't like that movie. I didn't like that movie. Omarion is shoved it way into the background. Other than the training sequence, it's a very Marquez Houston forward thing, as we already discussed. Omarion's second cruise are terrible, and they get actual lines in the movie about how bad they are.
Yeah.
Marquez Houston's team is the one that makes it to the finals, that ties for the win. Omarion just gets to come in at the end there and join the team and have his fun bits. But it's Marquez Houston's team, and I don't think that character deserved that. I don't think he was redeemed to the point of deserving that necessarily. And I did not enjoy the film of him as the main character. I would have just much more preferred a much easier film of just like, hey, we're a dance crew. Hey, we challenged this crew. Oh, they beat us. We're really broke now. We need to make a bunch of money to pay back people, and then make a bunch of money to enter this competition that comes up about 3/4 of the way through the film that we learn will win enough money to save all of our. It's the Karate Kid formula. Just like do the Karate Kid formula and don't fuck with it.
Just Bring It On. Something else that came out around that time that involved
and like don't fuck with it. Don't add that the best friends get into this giant fight that you don't resolve until literally minutes before the film ends, and don't kill the only little cute kid that you've introduced in the film to die. Don't do that, because that's rude. Don't create a character to kill him. If those things don't happen and it's just like a Karate Kid movie, then it's a fine fucking movie. It's enjoyable. But when those two things happen, it makes this movie bad for me. One interesting thing that I will investigate later, because we're not going to sit here and go through the entire catalog, but currently this movie sits at a 3.8 rating out of 10 on IMDb.
Okay.
I am curious if that is our lowest IMDb rating of our series. I don't know if that deserves it. I wouldn't say that this is the worst film we've covered by a long shot, but
yeah, you know what? I'll give my thoughts. I am curious about Player Club's rating. But so me, I came in here expecting I'll say a 3 out of 8 or 3 out of 10 or whatever, but it was more enjoyable than I was expecting it for it to be to me. That said, I love your assessment of first half, the Omarion half of the movie being the, a very solid, not great, but it's a passable film in and of its own right. The second half, the Marcus Houston half, a lot of the things I don't like about the movie are in that half of the movie. The Little Saint kid, while not as, and I'm using it just because, for lack of a better term, while not as offended by the choice as you were, I did see it as a manipulative, this little kid. Hey, don't you like this little kid? We killed it. Like you said, kind of rude to do that. So that was another thing where I'm like, yeah, that was a little Or at least make us care more about the kid. Let us be sad. Let us go, oh no, the kid died. Not, the kid died? Damn. Anyway, but yeah, the movie, like you said, it's not the worst thing we covered on here by a long shot. I thought it would be low because I had seen a review a while back that went harder on the acting jobs done by the people in this movie than I would go on said acting jobs. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I can see where you're saying, but I also don't see anything as being, well, I won't say anything, but I don't see a lot of it as being super atrocious the way I've seen it in some other movies that we've covered. But yeah, I liked it more than I thought I would. I would not rate it as low as a 3.8, but I wouldn't rate it highly in any sense either.
You know, 3.8 is really low.
Yes.
It is very low. Um, so just to give you a little update, I've tried to go as quick and as stealthy as I possibly could. I apologize to anybody who's gotten this deep and is hearing my little click clacks of my mechanical keyboard potentially. But so as I mentioned, You Got Served currently sitting at a 3.8 out of 10, which is tremendously low for IMDb.
Yeah.
Usually the IMDb crowd is pretty generous. You don't get your 0% like on a Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
So I've just been skimming through our back catalog and pulling the ones that I know.
We're not.
Yeah, I'm ignoring the ones. I'm not going to search. I'm not going to check Children of Men's IMDb score. You know,
should see if everybody hates The Departed as much as Super.
But Bamboozled, for instance, has a very surprising 6.6 out of 10.
I can see the historical context and the subject
True.
matter boosting that.
Jack Frost, our Christmas movie, 5.4 out of 10. So that's a really bad movie that I would say is worse than this movie, but it's got a 5.4. Josie and the Pussycats, 5.6. Superman 3, 5.0. The Players Club has a 5.8 out of 10. I think You Got Served is the lowest IMDb rated film we've watched.
Damn. And it doesn't deserve to be.
We kind of started with some bangers.
Well, yeah.
And then
yeah,
like I don't think any of these. Oh my God, I'm so curious what Wanted is. Folks who watch this show, I feel bad to this day
about
that I lied to you all and pretended that I didn't hate Wanted. It's 6.7. So I just think I don't think it deserves it. I think we've covered worse films, but it's those two decisions. Like if this just stayed the energy that it had in the first 20 minutes, and just kind of went like you and I both, I threw out Karate Kid, you threw out Bring It On. I'd take both of those. But like, yeah, just do that. Like, you know, and this is a better enjoyable. We described it as a general popcorn film earlier.
Yeah.
I would have a much more general popcorn filled good time if they didn't kill a kid and they didn't fucking have a pout fest fight over some bullshit for like a full quarter of the film.
I love your take on it of it being like a half Omarion film, half Marcus Houston film.
Nothing against Marquez Houston.
No, I'm saying.
But I'm just making that point clear because I don't know if I did.
Yeah.
I like Marquez Houston in it to a degree. I think Omarion's doing a little bit of a better job for what he's asked to do, but Marquez Houston is actually being asked to do a little bit of the harder job.
Yeah.
Of a little bit more acting. Omarion's kind of just being told to be very charismatic. I wonder if Omarion can accomplish that. You know?
It makes people forget what his real name is, so he's very charismatic as far as I know. But yeah, when I was younger, I hated Omarion for people at home.
Yeah.
For various reasons, mainly because people were fucking up my name because of him, because he had a more famous version of it. And so I was the person that didn't like having syllables added or subtracted from my name. I'm not Omar, I'm not Omarion, I'm Omari. There's an I there, but there's only an I. But it was one of those things. So in high school, and because Omarion was who he was, the girls loved, Omarion, and some girls would even call me Omarion, and I was just like peeved by it. I'm like, damn it, if you didn't fucking do this, you didn't exist, and then so and so. And then I had a phase where I found out his real name is Omari. That just made me more mad. I'm like, they're messing up my name because of you, and they don't even need to. But I'm an adult now. I can move on past such petty hatreds. So,
And wasn't there like a golfer or something when we were in high school too that you were
Maury
pissed
Ellis.
Oh, like yeah, he's
Maury
full
Ellis.
on your name. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Like that's a good pull by me.
Yeah. Omari Ellis. That is a good pull by you. I just
remember you being pissed about a golfer.
Well, somebody else had already became known for having my name.
Right. Like, yeah, you're gonna have to work that much harder to be the Omari Ellis when people search Omari Ellis.
That's okay. I don't even think that golfer thing existed past that year because I couldn't even find that article anymore.
Yeah.
But
as I was about ready to say it, I was like,
sure there's other people who've had Omari as a middle name and the last name Ellis that made it to fame. Not that many straight up Omari Ellis. There's other Omaris now though. Anyhow, that's a tangent. Yeah, but yeah, this shouldn't be the worst rated thing we watched, but apparently it is.
I don't think so.
And that's our final thoughts on the movie. So, Bill, what are we watching next week?
Well, we are going to go to one of our favorite little genres here, and that is 80s action.
Yeah.
And we're going to check out a wonderful film from my childhood called The Best of the Best.
Oh, shit. The best around. Nothing's
this
ever
guy
gonna get you down.
hasn't seen.
Yeah.
This guy hasn't seen.
Yeah. So, yep, there you have it. If you want to see some of our other shows and see why we think other things should be rated lower than this, you can go ahead and check them out on the channel. We got plenty for you. I also can be found elsewhere on YouTube with the Whatever We Want podcast with new episodes every week, every Wednesday. I do it with a good friend of mine, a good friend of the show, Super Jazz.
Super Jazz.
That's correct. And we just talk about just that, whatever we want. Check it out. I also have a Twitter and Twitch at Giotavi. That is Giotavi.
Come on in. Stop on by.
Thank you very much. And yeah, be playing a lot of Street Fighter this month. Street Fighter 6. It's out. Go play it, I guess. Oh, or at least maybe. Anyway, Bill, you got anything you want to say to the folks out there? Shout outs, whatever's.
My wife and I are playing Grounded right now. It's
Ooh.
a open world survival game, like the concept of the Honey I Shrunk the Kids sequence.
Interesting.
Where you get shrunk down to the size of like a small bug, and you're trapped in the backyard, and it's pretty cool.
Nice. That does sound pretty fun. I'm not gonna lie to you. So yeah, check out Grounded. Anyway, you guys have a good one. We'll see you around next week with the best of the best. Adios.